But first tonight, they have been an ever-present part of life in this country for quite a few years now. At times it seemed barely a week was passing without a motorway or a major road being blocked somewhere, people being prevented from going to work or hospital appointments or taking their kids to school. Barely a month passed without somebody more recently insisting they were averting climate disaster by throwing paint at a Van Gogh masterpiece in a gallery. It was one of the biggest campaigns of direct, disruptive action that we have seen in this country in a very, very long time. But today, Just Stop Oil announced that it is ending its campaign of chaos. No more stunts, no more bridges being climbed, no more blockades of motorways and oil refineries. They are stopping. Why? Not because they've had enough or they can't be bothered or they've all been arrested and imprisoned, but because they say they've got what they wanted. That this Labour government has committed to not renewing or issuing more oil and gas licences, and they say we have won. At least on that area, we have got our way, and therefore there is no need to continue these protests, to continue this disruption. They're calling a stop to it, at least for now. Which I think begs the question, doesn't it? After all the chaos, the arrests, the rows, the anger, the endless conversation about what they were up to and whether it was justified, I think we can now look back a little bit together and ask whether you think Just Stop Oil have achieved anything at all. Any single step towards a greener planet. Any small measure of political sort of change in stopping climate change or climate disaster. Have they achieved anything at all? Are they right to say we've won? That we have got our way and it's basically, at least in part, because of us? Do you buy that? Do you think they have actually changed the agenda, changed the narrative around climate change and won people around to their cause by blocking roads and climbing bridges and throwing paint at Van Goghs? Or are you quite firmly of the opposite view, that they haven't achieved anything at all? That what has happened, if Ed Miliband and Keir Starmer say we are not going to issue any more oil and gas licences, is very much despite Just Stop Oil, not because of them. So talk to me about whether you think Just Stop Oil have achieved anything. And another sort of element of this question that I'm really interested in, how do you think history will judge them? Those two questions obviously linked, because if they haven't achieved anything, history probably won't judge them that kindly. But if you think they have, I've said all along that I get the anger about Just Stop Oil. I absolutely get it, but I am fairly confident in predicting that in even 10, 20, let alone 50 or 100 years' time, people will not look back and go, what a bunch of clowns. They will say, well, at least somebody was trying to sound the alarm. What was everybody else doing? So I do think history will be kinder to Just Stop Oil than a lot of people are today. As to whether they've achieved anything, I'm sceptical, put it that way. Do you think they have? Do you think that group should be hailed as heroes, or are you very, very relieved to hear that the clown show is being brought to a stop? Call me. 0345 6060 973 is the number. You can WhatsApp that same number too, or text 84850. Has Just Stop Oil as a group achieved anything? And how do you think history will judge them? Just before I come to your calls on that, let's talk to one of them. Sue Houseman is a Just Stop Oil spokesperson and joins us now. Sue, very good evening to you.
Hi, good to be here, Ben.
Good to have you, Sue. Tell us more, if you would, about why you've announced this decision today to stop your campaign, or put it on hold at least.
Well, we're putting it on hold. It hasn't stopped, and it's not an end to civil resistance, just to get that straight. But what it is a success in keeping 4.4 billion barrels of oil in the ground, of having our government saying that they will issue no new oil or gas licenses. That's the success part of it. In terms of the clown show, the other success is that we've probably exposed what a clown show this country's politics is and whether we really have a democracy. Oil and gas companies make billions and billions of pounds in profit and use that money to buy the goodwill of politicians, the politicians that we hoped were acting on our behalf, the people of the country. You know, we thought that when we voted for people, their job was to do the best they could for us, not to be receiving donations from oil and gas companies and acting for them.
We'll come on to that. I just want to be clear on what it is, because you said you're pausing your campaign, but the civil disruption doesn't stop. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, there's an awful lot of crises going on right now.
Right.
Geopolitically, we've got all sorts going on, and it's time for us to think, how do we address this? You know, as I say, initially we thought politicians are there to act in our best interest. What we have exposed through Just Stop Oil is also that our politics and our democracy is completely corrupt. They are not acting in the best interest of the people.
I hear that. See,
so for that reason, we're pausing.
Yeah.
We're pausing,
so what are you
and
pausing?
we're just reflecting and thinking, right, what's the best strategy to take now?
So no more roads being blocked anytime soon?
We're pausing at the moment. Our next action is the 26th of April.
That's not a very long pause.
We're taking our complaints to Parliament, and we'll be sitting outside Parliament Square.
So you're pausing it for 3 weeks?
Beg your pardon?
So you're pausing your campaign for 3 weeks?
The 26th of April will be our final action.
Okay, so
and
after that...
it's a coming together of people who have also seen how hopeless our democracy is in this country. They've seen how everything works in the system to just benefit billionaires, to draw on the public purse and to give them more money and to take money away from those ordinary people.
So one last hurrah in late April, and that's it for now at least. But you are very much reserving the right to restart this campaign of disruption. In what circumstances might you do that?
You know, Just Stop Oil is hanging up the orange high vis, but the people are still there, and we're rampaging towards 2 degrees of global warming. 2 degrees of global warming means complete societal collapse.
Right.
It means food shortages. It means increased sea levels. You know, the things that you said there about when we look back on this in time to come, and we'll be thinking, why the hell did we not get on and do something? What the hell kept us from doing it? Just Stop Oil know that that's coming. They know there's an emergency. There are plenty of people out there. The scientists know that. Many people know it. But what Just Stop Oil are frustrated with is that we can't influence this through the politicians. You know, it's getting.
But on the one hand, you're saying you're stopping because you've influenced the politicians, but now you're telling me we can't influence the politicians. I mean, Just Stop Oil's statement today says we have kept over 4.4 billion barrels of oil in the ground because we have influenced government policy. So on the one hand, you're saying we don't live in a democracy, we can't influence the government. On the other hand, you're saying we're stopping because we've successfully influenced the government.
You know, the amount of court proceedings, the amount of civil disruption that's taken to get to the stage where we are not drilling for new oil and gas has been massive and is a wonderful success.
Do you really link those two things?
We need to go further, and we need to go faster,
Sue,
and we need to do more.
Do you honestly, hand on heart, think that if it wasn't for you, this Labour government under Ed Miliband, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves would be approving oil and gas licences left, right and centre? Do you think you had that much influence?
Yeah, I do believe that Just Stop Oil led the way in getting that key strategy of just stopping oil onto the mainstream news, into public discussion. And I think there's lots of other organisations there as well who are also working towards that goal. But I don't think anybody's been as successful as getting into mainstream news as we have.
What's your evidence for saying that you think the government is doing what it's doing on an issue as fundamental, as important as oil and gas exploration, because you blocked some motorways and threw some paint and some pictures?
I believe it got a conversation going, and I believe that disruption, like the disruption caused by the suffragettes, like the disruption caused by Martin Luther King, as we go back in history, and as you said, when we look back in 50 years and say, which side of history were these guys on?
Yeah.
We haven't been there to be popular, but we've been there to cause disruption and to stop things so that people can pause and make common sense decisions.
So how do you think you and your co-activists will go down in history?
has been truth tellers.
Truth tellers. Heroes?
Truth tellers. No, nobody's heroes. People who take action with Just Stop Oil are desperately frightened for the future of their children, their grandchildren. Nobody's heroic. Everybody's desperate to see the truth being told to the public.
Right.
Desperate to see our media, really holding people to account if they believe that as well.
But you talk about Martin Luther King there. You talked about the suffragettes. Do you see Just Stop Oil in the same bracket as the suffragettes and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King?
Yes.
In what sense?
In that we're not popular with the powerful people of the country who would rather carry on making money, keeping power, hoarding money.
These people got killed, some of them, for what they believe. You sat on a motorway.
Sorry, why are you asking me that?
Because what I'm saying is some people might find it slightly offensive, perhaps, to compare yourself to people who literally laid down their lives for the sake of civil rights or the women's suffrage, for example. It's not quite in the same league as throwing some orange paint in the National Gallery. So
are you saying that you want us to lose our life in order to make a greater impact?
But I'm not putting you in the same bracket as Martin Luther King and the suffragettes. You are.
I'm saying that disruptive action is what makes a difference.
Okay. Interesting. Sue, we'll put that out there. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Sue Houseman, Just Stop Oil spokesperson, saying they will be seen by history as the truth tellers. They have achieved something. She directly links the government's decision to not issue oil and gas licences to their activity. And you heard it. She thinks they are in many ways comparable to Martin Luther King and the suffragettes. Do you agree? 0345 6060 973. Your